Jan, is that your exotic wife?
All right, Catcitechture. So I'm gonna keep this fairly informal. Feel free to ask questions, or I'm sure there'll be commentary as such happens here. It was suggested to me to do a Pechakucha, and then it was suggested that I definitely do not do a Pechakucha because we might not be able to stick to 20 seconds per slide. So this is Catcitechture. When you think of infrastructure for cats, you might think of something like what's on the screen right now. Cat towers. They come in all different shapes and shades of awful, and cats usually really like them until they get sick of them a couple hours later. They also come in, sorry, go ahead. They come in different architectural styles. Gothic revival on the left. International style, I would say, on the top right. Biomimicry, or biophilia, as we talked about yesterday. And then there's something in there that looks like an early 90s video game, like Mario or something.
It's a bit of a dump.
But believe it or not, there are architects that design things for cats. A few months ago, an organization called Architects for Animals put together a fundraiser by inviting architects to design cat houses that were visually appealing. They were exhibited in Los Angeles, and they included some really big names in architecture, including some of our partners at HOK, and including some of our enemies at Perkins and Will.
Yeah, just beat them last week.
They're becoming more examples of furniture being designed for cats. This coffee table in Hong Kong went viral on Facebook earlier this summer. I think it was posted about 5 times on my wall by different people. So designers are actually starting to look at cats. But believe it or not, the idea of design for cats isn't a new one. In fact, this is a man named Bob Walker who published a book back in 1996 called The Cat's House. Bob Walker was a crazy cat guy who built a system of elevated highways for his 9 cats. He painted the runways in all kinds of bright colors. Real interesting guy. And the book has some helpful tips on how to design and build your own. For example, place catwalks in prominent rooms. They want to be where you are. Don't build them in some back room that no one goes to. Create multiple ways for the animals to reach the catwalk at ramps or stairs. Probably
the best use for that.
I didn't even need to say anything. So this is Bob Walker's house. He started it in the late 80s, and it has the system of catwalks, stairs, ramps, all kinds of stuff all throughout the house, and specifically, doorways into other rooms so they don't have to go on the ground at all. It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, the Walkers sold their house back in 2013, and the new owner tore out everything. So it's like his life work of like 20 years, and it's gone. Except for his books, which are obviously still on Amazon, and he has a pretty good website of his new stuff. There are also architects designing entire apartments for cats. So you could probably expect most of these are in Asia. They have a bigger affection for cats, seemingly, than most of the Western world, but that's changing a little bit. Another example, this one from Tokyo, sort of a minimalist design of just cantilevered shelves out of the wall and holes to get from one room to the other. And so designing for cats that doesn't have to look, obviously, like cat trees. And here's an American example from California. This is a steampunk cat transit system, which was built from Because We Can. They're actually kind of cool. I looked at their website, and they have all kinds of different spaces that they do, and none of them are alike. This was the only steampunk thing on their website. It was the only cat-related thing on their website. And then there are catios. This became a phenomenon about 3 years ago. These are enclosures that allow cats to get outside, to get air and light, but without being able to run away or to kill birds. And there are thousands of examples of these in varying degrees of craziness. The one on the left that looks like a corn silo or something, and a little bit too much. And then the guy on the upper right that's really, really proud of his catio right now.
There's one on Brady Street.
There is. Oh yeah. So there's a lady on Brady Street that I think she's right above the Cousin Subs on the north side of the street, right in the center of Brady Street. She built this plexiglass cubicle that extends from the second floor window and has rope lighting in it, and the cat has like the best view because it sticks out like 2 feet and has a view every direction on Brady Street. She's been there for, it has to be like 15 years or so. She's called the Brady Street Cat Lady, I think. I think someone made like a Facebook profile for her. So this is Fondry. And there are a few things you should know about Fondry. She's polydactyl, which means that she has thumbs.
This is your cat?
This is my cat. This is Fondry.
So she's like a Hemingway cat.
She's a Hemingway cat. So most cats don't have thumbs. It's a hereditary trait that it gets passed down. And so there's actually, that's why Scott brought up Hemingway cats, because Hemingway was gifted a cat that was a polydactyl, and it reproduced on this tiny island that Hemingway lived on. And there are still descendants, like this island, this tiny little island is filled with cats that have thumbs. And so they're called polydactyl, or sometimes called Hemingway cats. But she has thumbs. She uses them to climb stuff. I'll show you an example right here. Since she has really big paws, I was outside one day and all of a sudden I had these ladder trellises that I was building, and all of a sudden she just ran up and climbed up to the top. And so this was sort of in the middle of building the highway, and I've kind of responded to that in a few different ways. But anyway, she's 10 years old. She takes a lot of risks because she only has 9 lives. I don't know how many she has left. She also has learned to weave through ladders, which she does on the vine trellis. See Lisa and I talking in the background as the cat almost kills herself. So she has learned to sort of like weave through, because it's really the only way that you can navigate some of these spaces. And she's an indoor-outdoor cat. She's not afraid of rain or snow as long as she's chasing birds. I've had her for about 4 years. Sorry, I turned to slow motion.
Oh, wow. She's very talented. Oh, there it goes. Get it.
So she did this exact same thing last night. It was about like 10 o'clock, and she was outside, and all of a sudden I saw her jump up and saw a flock of birds leave the tree. But my apologies to bird lovers out there. She'll bring back maybe a couple this summer. They're not the pretty ones, though. So the idea of building the superhighway actually started by accident. I had the opportunity to buy some 16-foot long floor joists that were taken out of the Pabst Brewery back in 2012. They're 120-year-old Douglas fir. They have a patina of Pabst soot that I never cleaned off of them. And I hung them on the wall for shelving. You can see on the left above the bed, and then on the right goes above the kitchen and the living room. And they weren't up for 10 minutes before she climbed up and ran all the way to the end. And I looked up at this space, and I have 25-foot ceiling heights, and thought, wow, well, I could actually do something with this space. So fast forward to January of 2015, I had just finished licensure, and I was wondering what I was going to do with all my time. And so I made it my year's resolution, or my goal for the year of 2015, and I posted this on Facebook on January 1st, that I was going to build a superhighway for my cat in 1 year. 9 months later, I had a grand opening party last October. So the thing began, it kind of grew in stages. I had no idea what I was going to do. There was no master plan, and it just has evolved and continues to evolve, and I've been changing stuff on it fairly regularly. But it started with a series of cat stairs. I already have this big shelving unit that went floor to ceiling, and I had the idea of just making a staircase that went up and then doubled back and got as high up as it could. So this is just plywood with biscuit joints. The compression fit into the shelving. They have carpeting on top for traction. And she uses them every day, every night. Her favorite spot is at the top of the stairs looking out the window. So that just happened to be the music I was listening to at the time. And in searching for a way to create beams or platforms that connect the stairs to the beams that I already had hung on the wall, I was looking for something that was, well, first inexpensive, because I had just paid for all the licensure exams and didn't have very much to spare. And so I looked at a couple of things that are either cheap or free, being unwanted old wood ladders. I mean, there's houses all over Milwaukee with them in the garage. We don't use them anymore. And then plaster lath, which you can find in pretty much dumpsters all over the city all summer long. I think one of our first dates, I made Elisa stop on the side of the road so I could jump in a dumpster and fill it and hence the hashtag What's in Keith's Kia was born. A friend posted it, and it's kind of stuck since then because I have a Kia Soul. Ash reminds me of that every single morning. and it fits. It can fit a lot in it, just a lot. It's great. I use it as a truck. This is Elisa, who kind of came around to the idea of me dumpster driving and helped me complete, a lot of the later segments of the highway. So that's the plaster lath on top of the wood ladders. This is my friend Jackson, who helped me hang the first beam last March. And it didn't quite work out the first time. It's really difficult to measure something when it's like on an angle and multi-directional. And I didn't feel like figuring it out until we had it in place. And then the second try, it worked out perfectly. But one of the things I really love about the wood lath is that it has this natural patina to it and natural variation in color. So I didn't. The first one that I made, I didn't actually do anything to. I just put it on there, and then the subsequent ones I actually added a stain and varnish to, because I realized that this is 15 foot up in the air. The cat pukes all the time. The cat's definitely going to puke on the highway, and I don't want it to be on bare wood. I'd rather have it something that I can actually clean off. So those. Actually, Andrew told me to start with a cat puking video, which I have a series of. I didn't. So those segments turned into another idea, which was painter planks. So it was, how do I connect these major beams to some of the more arterial places in the house, and it came out of the idea that you can extend these to whatever length you want to, or whatever length you need to, and meaning I didn't have to measure anything. I could just get a bunch of these, refinish them, and hang them up where they needed to be. And unfortunately, they're generally covered in paint, so I had to sand them and refinish them. This is Elisa actually last weekend, refinishing a couple more. No, I don't do any of the work actually. And I want to point out another weird idea that I've been exploring is the idea of structural zip ties. The entire thing is held together. I found a website online that you can order zip ties that are rated up to 100 pounds, and with a 9-pound cat, really not a problem. So almost the entire thing is held together with structural zip ties. There's a lot of the other parts actually have aircraft cable and are actually mounted in, but there's.
Can I see that spec section?
Yeah. So I was a little skeptical on how she would actually be able to use them, and it ended up just fine. Every time I put something up, she was a little skeptical at first, and then within 10 minutes, she just was running across it.
Now, don't you have the issue if she pukes up there?
No, she's never gotten. So she's never gotten. Yeah, she'll get stuck in like weird places. Like the other day, she was on top of one of the balusters in front. She actually climbed over all of the spiky balusters in our railing, and then was like just posted on one of the balls and couldn't get off. So these are just some photos of the space. Yeah, it's been an evolution.
How are you going to keep?
Yeah, I'll get to that in 1 second. So, go
How are
ahead.
you going to keep the top floor posts?
I actually, this is really great. I have a blower, like a leaf blower, a really high-powered leaf blower, and before I vacuum, because it's easier than going up with a vacuum. I have a tiny like handheld vacuum, but it's easier just to go up there and like blow all the cat hair and dust off, and then just take care of it when it's on the ground.
So you actually do clean?
Yeah,
Wow.
the house is pretty clean.
Oh, not fair.
Are you renting from Florida?
No.
No, we straight out I own units in the same building.
Thank gosh, you can inspect your apartment like once a week.
I'm sorry.
No.
So this is when I took it maybe a little bit too far. and I set up a motion-activated video camera using an old iPhone and a free app called Presence, so that I could see how she was using the superhighway when I wasn't home. Ended up that it's just a whole lot of videos of her sleeping and just casually walking by. And let's see, so there's a video on both sides. But yeah, this is from Christmas of last year. I found one other thing with cats is that there's a danger if you put up a Christmas tree that they'll jump up in it and it'll fall over. And I found I just had the idea of hanging it upside down instead. It's an old German and Polish tradition, so I've done that for the past 2 years, and she hasn't been able to get into it.
Yeah. Put a camera on the cat.
I put a camera on the cat. Oh wait, you mean on the cat? Like on? Yeah. Oh man, there's a
GoPro.
Yeah, there's a guy that did that. He put it. Yeah. It's a little heavy. I have a tile on her. Do you know what those are? It's like a Bluetooth. It's a Bluetooth location device. So within like 100 feet, you can tell exactly like where something is, and you can ring it. I put one of those around her neck because she goes outside and she'll fall asleep in a bush. I have no idea which bush it is, and instead of like going and lifting every bush, I can just get within 100 feet of her, ring the thing, and then she gets really pissed off and walks out.
So that it like makes a noise on them.
Yeah. It well, I'll show you later, but it makes this really like shrill noise that just really upsets her.
To stop it from scratching the felt that I spent all this money on to
Yeah. So this was then it got published in the paper. It wasn't something that I was expecting when the whole thing started, but I have a couple friends that work for the Journal Sentinel, and they made the suggestion to the editor that they had the perfect home for their At Home With series, which was mostly like suburban people in their 50s that fixed up old Victorian homes. And then there was me, the weird cat guy. So this got picked up as it's coming back. We'll get another year. It actually got picked up by the AP. There was a companion piece that was written on catification. There's this guy named Jackson Galaxy. That's a whole nother story, but he's a real weird guy. I never watched any of this show. In fact, I really don't like cat stuff most of the time, as you can kind of tell. But there's this companion piece called Catcitechture, which is all what he writes about, making your home friendly to cats. And so it got published as part of that, and then got broadcast to the AP. And all of a sudden, one of my friends had parents in Buffalo, and I got sent the article or snip from their newspaper in Buffalo. Same thing happened in like Fort Lauderdale and who knows where else. So it kind of made its way. I didn't know that I was signing up for that when I asked them to come in, but it ended up happening. So this is really the only time that I regretted building the highway. It was this past spring. Elisa remembers this pretty well, my frantic phone call to her when Fondry brought home a live bird and let it go. And that would normally be like, okay, you just like open all the windows, but I don't have a lot of windows, and on top of that, there's like the layer of the cat between like where the bird could go, and I expected this to happen like for 24 hours straight. And it happened for about half an hour before I finally like wrestled the bird into a box and threw it outside. But I just saw like this is her dream right now. She finally brings back her prey to her own environment.
What's the antenna?
That's I told you about my TV antenna, right? It's an old 50s TV antenna. It works better than like any digital antenna you could imagine. And I have it hooked up to an old flagpole, so there's tons of metal sticking up in the air. I did not kill a bird. So, of course, building a superhighway or doing anything really great for your cat, or what you think is really great for your cat, it can easily be outbeaten by just a brand new box.
Or a suitcase.
What's that?
Or a suitcase.
Or a suitcase. Anything enclosed. Questions?
What are you?
Wait. You are the most interesting man in the world.